Hello, hello. Welcome back to Lunch with a Life Coach. I say welcome back because this is the first episode of 2024. So welcome back if you haven't been here before. My name's Deanna. I am, yes, a life coach, fitness professional, educator, kind of a whole host of things. What that all boils down to is really bringing you some education. So not just kind of entertainment, hopefully a little entertainment, but really education based in the life coaching area that also is influenced by fitness and wellness and that sort of thing. So, what I decided to do after a couple of folks reached out, if you haven't watched some of the other episodes, you can scroll on back and have a look. And I talk a little bit about the calendar cleanup and the time management tools that I use, etc. So, in 2024, which is where we are as this is being recorded, just newly into the new year, the calendar cleanup program is live and folks are using some of the tools, all of the tools, workshops, etc. And I've had some more specific requests about more detail of different steps. So what I thought I would do, there's really sort of a dozen steps or so through the whole process. Now, remember that when we go from, start to finish, that is really when I run a live workshop or I do the sort of done alongside you coaching where I do some one-on-one, right? And we sort of sit down and pull all the things apart and rebuild them. But in a sort of quick format for some folks, they're just like, whoa, that is just too much information all at once. So what I'm doing with these videos over the next, probably, I'm going to say 7 to 8 episodes is actually teaching you that calendar cleanup process and going through, pardon me, start to finish, going through that process of, what does it actually look like? And so that if, I know finances can be real difficult for some folks. I know time can be difficult. Haha, that's why we're here. But this is just another way for you to be able to consume that content, right? And be able to kind of go through, work along with you or work along, step by step a little bit more. If you are finding that you are struggling taking notes or anything like that, there is a workbook that is actually what I use in the workshop. So you can grab that from my website. You can head over to deannalangfordcoaching.com and under register now, you'll find all of that stuff, all the calendar cleanup goodies. So let's dive in. And the one thing actually I will say, if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe. Zoom in a little bit. Subscribe to my website. This is a guide of 24 ideas of 24 ways to clean up your calendar for, yes, 2024. Just all the things based again on the system that I used, but great information and tips that you could really choose to implement or not as you might see fit, really what works for you. So the calendar cleanup, we are diving in to the very first step, which if you are looking at the workbook, you're looking at page 2. And if you're not, that's okay too. Here is the beginning piece for when people are creating new time management plans. What they often miss, which is so key for the whole process to be successful. And then the implementation, right? We make these great calendars or we make these great, get a new planner, and we take all the things that we had and we just try to smush those into the new planner. And folks, that doesn't work. That is one of the things that really has to be switched. We have to get out of that mindset of like, this is my to-do list and I got to keep it and bring it forward. If you're finding, and this is likely why you're here and still listening, if you're finding that you're overwhelmed, you feel like you're kind of putting out fires, you're just reacting to life, you're not proactively knowing what's coming at you, you're surprised when you open your calendar or you start your day and you think, oh my gosh, I forgot about this. I didn't know I had to do that. I didn't realize this was my responsibility. Oh, that monthly task has jumped up at me again and I didn't think about it. And now I feel like, oh my goodness, where does that fit? We have to really work on refining our calendar. And that is one of those pieces as I sort of sneak through and when we move through the workshop together, folks often will be like, okay, we're done the refinement. She's not going to push me anymore to take things off my calendar. And if that scares you to take things off your calendar, there is a process for that. And it's not like a no forever. Some things are a no forever. Not always. Some things are a revisit. We have different tools of when we will reconsider, revisit those types of things that we're maybe taking off our calendar. but we have to refine. So just when you think the refinement is done, I will sneak another step in to try to get you to further refine the things on your calendar for now, for never, for next. And you'll hear me use those 3 words a lot because we have to really be strategic about what's now, what's right in front of you. And part of that is knowing all the things, which is we're talking about an inventory today. We're talking about step 1. And that inventory process helps us figure out the now, never, next. Okay. So the now, never, next tool is actually available as its own guide. So you can grab that. What I will say is there's incremental, not incremental, but there are sort of individual tools that are also part of the bigger picture. So if you have the workbook, you have the now, never, next guide. If you're not interested in the workbook and you just think, I want to learn more about that, you can buy that guide separately because that's a really useful tool just to be able to implement now, never, next anytime that you need to refine your calendar. This is not a one and done. This is a process. And we continue. I revisit this program. So this isn't just something that I think would work. This is what I've been using for 25 years to be able to, do all the things, manage a business, family, etc. Right? This is the way that it's all come about, is tools that I have used. So we're talking about inventory. Here's what I need you to start with. Before you look at a calendar, before you open, however you do that, whether it's a paper calendar, whether it's opening your calendar on your device, whatever it might be, I really need for you to do some brainstorming. So again, however you like to brainstorm, I'll talk about a whiteboard. I love a whiteboard. Just behind us, the screen here is my big whiteboard, and it's full of mess, but it's such joyful mess, right? Because it helps us really get to the thing that we're after. And so maybe that's a whiteboard, maybe it's just a piece of paper and a pen, whatever the case is. Okay. Maybe it's a napkin. Maybe you're sitting at the coffee shop and you're going to do this here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to look pretty. It doesn't have to be perfect. So don't worry. It doesn't have to be a bullet journal. It doesn't have to be with a certain colored pen, although I know color coordinating is great too. But I just want you to get over the perfection pursuit, because we need to start off with a brainstorm, a messy, full of information brainstorm. That is the inventory. So let me ask you, what are the different roles that you hold in your life? Okay, so this is step 1. What are the roles and responsibilities that you hold? That is what we're going to inventory to begin with. And if you notice, when you notice your brain going, okay, I'm thinking about parenting, but oh my gosh, now I forgot about this. Or I'm thinking, I just want, notice that, right? They're just thoughts. You don't have to do anything with them. Just go, yeah, okay. That's maybe something else I've got to write down. So if you're already in that reactive state, right? And you're feeling, your nervous system is really fiery and you're really feeling overwhelmed, starting to do this piece can also make us feel a little bit more overwhelmed. So here's what I need you to do, but this is a critical step. I need for you to say, interesting, let it go, or jot it down. So maybe you're thinking, okay, my one role is parent. So write that down. Your second role is whatever your work might be, like your work outside of parenting. If that's something that applies to you, maybe it's a business owner, whatever the case is, write that down. Okay. Career or business or work or whatever that component is. What else? Are you a child, right? Do you have responsibilities to your parents? Do you volunteer in your community? Are you involved at your church? What are the other roles and responsibilities that you have? Don't write down the, when I'm a parent, it means I have to X. I just want the title of that role right now. Okay. So for example, I'm a mom of humans. I'm a mom of fur babies. And you know what? You might want to put both of those down if that's the case, because our next step, don't jump to the next step, but I want you to know what's coming. The next step is to inventory all the things, all the to-dos that come with that role, everything that you can think of. Because here's what happens when we don't do that, when we're not aware of, like, as parent of a fur baby, that means, I've got to think about, like, when's their food order. I have a delivery system with an automatic delivery, which is great with their their food order, when do they need to go to the vet, what kind of meds do they need, when do they need a bath, when do they, all those things, right? And so when we aren't aware of those things, that's when things can sneak up on us. We think, oh my gosh, it's already time to book the groomers. And oh dear, the groomers books 3 weeks out. And then all of a sudden, right? So what I'm asking and really nudging you towards is to make a list, first of all, roles. I'm going to come back to that in a sec. And then second step, which we haven't gotten to, you're still working on your roles and responsibilities. And remember, this is recorded. So if you're like, whoa, I need a minute to brainstorm, pause, and then come back. So what happens is if we have, let's say each of your roles has 10 to-dos, just picking a random number. If we're aware of most of those to-dos, we can schedule, organize, use the now, never, next to put some of them, to a different point in our year or a different point in our calendar, get rid of some of them, delegate some of them. And then things pop up, right? And I'm not saying like everything's going to be perfect. There's no perfect, but I need us to think about when we only are aware of or regularly aware of 5 of those 10 to-dos under that role, then all of a sudden the other 5 pop up, and that is overwhelming and pretty close to impossible, right? To readjust your calendar. So it's getting ahead. It's being proactive in knowing all the things. And then when the little things pop up, or maybe it's even a big thing, the more organized we are, the more aware of those different roles that we have, or the to-dos, I should say, under the roles, then it's much easier to deal with those fires that come up. Okay. Step 1, your roles. Have you got them? If not, pause and then join again when you're ready. So now you've got to brainstorm all of the to-dos. Okay. All of the to-dos under that role. And this is in its entirety. This is this episode. That's all we're talking about. Okay. So this is going to be your homework. I'm working on keeping these 15 minutes or under, so you can digest them quickly. Again, it's like lunch and learn style, right? So you can grab your coffee, grab your tea, have your lunch, go for your walk, whatever the case is while you're doing this, whatever, however you may need to jot those notes down or think about those. And then we'll come back. So the next episode, we'll talk about what we do with this information, with the roles and responsibilities and the corresponding to-dos. But that is it. And I know it's a big one, but that is it for this episode in terms of what I'm asking you to do. So what are, again, let's say, example, fur baby parent, I listed some of those to-dos, right? Also, what I didn't list was like day-to-day stuff, like walk them, play with them, right? That doesn't need to go on a list, but sometimes it does. Sometimes we are in the grind, right? And we're in it and we forget to go, you know what? I need to get down on the ground and like roll around with them and play and have fun. Okay. So what are all the to-dos that come with each of those areas of responsibility? So if we're talking, let's say, about work, maybe you've got staff scheduling, maybe you've got payroll, maybe marketing, maybe social media. I don't know. I want you to put like actually put all the to-dos you can think of. So I'll invite you to do that. That is your homework for today, or whenever you, are going to work on that. But the life coach in me says, what action are you going to take in the next 24 to 48 hours to get these lists made? Okay. If you're serious about getting this stuff done, it has to be. We have to take this time, even though I know time is tricky. But remember, it's getting you to a point where you're more organized, proactive. And then once we're organized and proactive, it's quite easy to deal with those little fires that come up. Okay. Roles, responsibilities are listed. Put those out. All the to-dos underneath. Okay. That's it for today. I will see you back next episode when we're going to talk about what do we do with all those to-dos when you're overwhelmed and going, how on earth do I deal with the 100 things? And it might be 100 things you have written down. I bet it probably is. How do I deal with those? We're going to talk about refining categorizing, and what we do with all of that information. We're going to start to bring that information together in a much more easily digestible and easy to manage way. So that's coming up next. And again, visit my website if you have any other information that you'd like to have a little peek at. You can find all of that information. Subscribe for that 24 ways in 2024 to clean up your calendar, and have a peek at the workbook, etc., whatever might be useful to you. Message me if you have any questions, Deanna at deannalangfordcoaching.com. And I would love for you to share. Again, this is a 25-year in the making process, and I'm giving away for free over these next probably 7 or 8 episodes. So I'd love for you to save this episode, subscribe, and share it with somebody if you think it's going to be helpful. We'll see you back soon.